streaming it. Streaming it. I'm streaming it. I'm streaming it. Why not? I'm streaming it. I'm not supposed to be streaming today, but I'm gonna stream it. Because why not? Why not? I was gonna record it, but I was like, you know what? No, I don't feel like recording it. I'm just gonna turn it to a stream and then edit it later. Turn it to a video. Thumbs up. Gonna take. Actually, no, I'm gonna keep chat up. Yeah, I'm gonna keep chat up. And yeah, no, I'm gonna keep those up. Oh wait, I forgot. It's like. Forgot it's underneath. I'm just gonna put it right here. Bam. Forgot one thing too. Hold on, give me a moment. Do. Oh no, it might be loud. I'm gonna lower it down a little bit. So yeah, we're watching the State of Play, PlayStation State of Plays today. Yay! In about a minute, starting. Can't wait to see Wolverine. Can't wait to see the Wolverine gameplay that's dropping. They did say they're gonna be doing Wolverine gameplay. I hate that my nose is stuffy. Wonder what other games are gonna be like showing up. Because I'm not expecting a lot from PlayStation. Thinking maybe it's gonna be a lot, maybe not. But yeah, surprise stream today. Surprise stream. We're just watching the State of Play and then that's about it. Yeah. I was low-key gonna record this, but I was like, yeah, no. Don't feel like recording it. Because my PC is already about to run out of storage, so I'm like, yeah. I hate that my nose is stuffy. It's the State of Play, baby! I can't wait. Oh, 20 seconds. Oh, it's probably live already. Yeah. It's 2, 1. Let's go. Let's do this. See what's up. Let's see what's first. Oh, I forgot one thing. Hold on. Yeah, there's the Wolverine gameplay right there.
Hi, I'm Marcus Smith, Creative Director for Marvel's Wolverine. Today, we're excited to debut a new look at the game. To set the stage, Wolverine is in a race against time to rescue a group of
I don't know if it's loud. Is it loud?
before they're shipped off to
Is it loud for you guys?
by
Is it quiet?
cybernetically enhanced mercenaries known as the
Oh, it's
Reapers.
because mine.
However, Logan quickly discovers he isn't the only mutant attempting to save them. Let's take a look.
I was like, I feel like it was like glow a little bit. Sounded low.
Let's see if we can find the one that got away.
Oh, he looks so good.
Might be our only lead.
He looks bad good. I like the outfit. I like the suit. The suit looks fire.
Looks like she took off into the industrial park.
Yo, he looks so good.
Search the area.
Give me a status update.
I'm hoping we're gonna see
Perimeter
fighting.
stable. Holding position.
I'm gonna shut up now. Oh! 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 Yeah, they going right into it.
No answer.
Oh, the blood clears off too. That's cool.
Should do another sweep. It's too quiet.
How do you not hurt him? Combat is sick though. Now the combat is sick though. I like it. I like the combat.
Shut it, freak!
Bro, the game looks good so far.
Ship's gassing off! Not today, Bob.
Is that Trask Industries?
The hell?
Skullbuster! Up there!
We need backup! Now!
Okay. Hey! Gene! Is that Gene? Is that Gene? Yo, no, that's Gene!
There you are, Red.
Finally we get to see her.
Jean? Is that you?
Yeah, that is Gene.
You're not going anywhere.
Everyone shoot!
Yeah, now they really did Wolverine first.
Son of a bitch!
No, I just noticed. Yeah, I just noticed a big hole in his suit in the back. Is that like? Ooh. I want to know if they're gonna show the healing in the game. Like if he heals. Ooh. Then I see we got like abilities on the bottom left.
Let's go!
Oh, the game looks good so far though.
Shit. Yeah, that'll work.
Oh, it's the cutscene from the trailer.
Ah, shit. Where are those mutants?
He got his health bar. And it looks like there's a meter building up too. I'm gonna up the quality of the video real quick. I'll stream a little bit. Yeah, he has like three bars a meter. So it looks like, I'm guessing that's like a rage or something.
Your mind shorted. How's that feel, freak?
Yeah, he's about to die. Oh! Oh, that's how the healing works? So when you're about to die, you get like a, okay. That's cool. So when you're botted out, you got a QTE. You get a QTE. Oh. It's pretty cool. The game so far looks like really, really good.
I was hoping for the redhead.
Yeah, he does heal. Oh, but his costume doesn't. Oh, so his costume saves like damage, but his body heals. That's cool. That's cool. Wolverine! Oh, I got the patches. Omega Red, Mystique, Jean, Sentinels, Sabretooth. Okay.
Some folks can't wait to die.
The classic brown suit. Okay. So I saw patches. I'm definitely gonna be rocking the patches suit.
We hope you enjoyed that new look at Marvel's Wolverine. This is a single-player, action-adventure game featuring a focused, story-driven experience that will send Logan on a perilous journey across the globe, where more than innocent mutant lives are at stake. In this game, mutants live in hiding, fearful of those who would hunt them down, while most of the world doesn't even know they exist. As you saw, you'll encounter iconic Marvel characters like Jean Grey, Mystique, and Sabretooth.
Some folks can't wait to die.
Yeah, he wasn't in the trailer,
We also
like
showed you a
the
glimpse
teaser
of the
trailer.
real combat you'll experience in Marvel's Wolverine.
We do get to
It's
see
fast,
Sabretooth.
fluid, and visceral in the way that only Logan can deliver. Marvel's Wolverine is built to take full advantage of the PlayStation 5 consoles, and we
It
cannot
looks so
wait for you
good
to
so
get your
far,
hands on it
and
when it
we get to see the
launches
costumes
September 15th,
too, which is like
2026.
cool.
We're also happy to announce that you can pre-order your copy today.
Yeah!
In select markets. Check
They
out
pre-ordered
PlayStation
today.
blog for
Pre-orders
more
are up.
information. On behalf of
Well, after the show,
everyone
they're
at
up.
Insomniac Games, thank you. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, and Spider-Man 3. When Spider-Man 3 hits. Oh, I forgot it's coming out in September.
Hello and welcome to
See what else they got. Let's see what else they're
I wanted
cooking
to
up.
start by thanking Marcus and the whole team at Insomniac for that extended look at Marvel's Wolverine. We've got a ton more to share with news and updates from both PlayStation studios and third-party studios from around the globe. Let's get right to it with the latest from our friends at Arc System Works, XDev, and Marvel Games.
Are we gonna see Tokon? That Marvel Tokon game?
Prepare to face the supreme master of the pugilistic art, the Duke of Get Your Dukes Up, Mr. Champion!
Actions are worth more than any word.
And the greatest action is to fight. You have defeated so many.
Yeah, it's the Marvel Tokon fighting game.
Worlds, but
Knights
you
of Doom.
never fought Doom. Let me show you why you should need Doom. Think you're a genius, Doom? Your works are mere trinkets.
Oh, it's a new team.
Genius is endless. And now my
So Doom is leader. Magneto!
promises Doom, and those promises
Magneto!
This violence will solve none.
Okay.
My dearest Rolo, mutant kind shall rise, and I will be the one to lead the way.
Magneto! Green Goblin!
You look a little angry, Bug. Still holding a grudge.
And he's voiced by Jason Blum too. And he's voiced by Jason Blum.
That all you got? Bump away.
Now we got the spectacular Spider-Man voice actors together. Carnage!
Not you. You want to fight?
Carnage?
If you want to that
moment has come. Attack!
Damn.
No mercy.
I was not expecting carnage. I was not expecting carnage.
Don't be greedy. He's mine.
Knights of Doom, destroy them!
Yo, this game looks fire as hell.
The end is near.
Yo, it's good, James. It's good. Damn. I was not expecting carnage. I was really not expecting carnage. Yeah, there's one team left to assemble, and that's the Ghost Rider team. Or whoever's like with Ghost Rider.
I see much from my perch atop the tree.
Alright, what game is this?
Yet, there are some outcomes that are uncertain, even to me.
Rayman? Rayman?
Let's roll.
Rayman?
Your heroics will no doubt be the stuff of tales twice told through.
They're making a new Rayman game? No way.
Come feed my ox.
Calming biscuits? But oh,
They're making a new Rayman game. It is 3D. It is 3D. 3D to side scroller. No way. I remember playing this game on the Wii. On the Wii U.
Follow me, brave heroes.
And on the N64. Damn, oh, I feel old saying that.
It's time I made my mark.
it's 4 against 1. You don't stand a chance.
Yo, this
Maybe
game.
he stands a little bit of a chance.
Damn.
Robots to the rescue.
It looks so good.
I am as fast as a bump. Kick size.
I was not expecting Rayman.
Great then.
You think this ends here?
Cool. I'm here.
Okay.
Are you ready for our game?
Rayman Legends Retold. Is it? Retold. Retold is like another word for remaster? Okay. They really throwing out the hard hitters first. What is this? Rancho the Chef? Slow cook prequel. Not the making of a master? I'd never heard of this game. Not a series. This is new to me.
Say.
Yeah, I'd never seen this game series before. Oh, Bancho the Chef. I thought it said Rancho the Chef. No, it was Bancho the Chef. I'd never heard of it. I'd never heard of that game. That's new. Alright, what game is this? Fox window. You are a yokai hunter. Hunt the unseen. Damn. That's a 3-player co-op, okay. This game looks cool. That is only the beginning. Is that a dude in a spacesuit? I look like a dude in a spacesuit. You gotta do all the Discover Japan stuff. Most of the Discover Japan stuff to get it.
Hi everyone.
I didn't even get to see.
お久しぶりです。
It's called
久美です。
Kamura?
Did you miss me?
Kamori?
I missed you.
Yeah,
と言っても
Kamuri.
多分私のことを知らないし忘れてる人もいるかもしれないんですけど。
Yeah, I don't know you.
見て
I
ね
don't know
お
you.
姉
You're
さん
new.
です。今日皆さんにお届けしたのは妖怪ハンターアクションゲームケムリです。
Yeah, Kamuri.
舞台は
Kamuri.
シティ
Kamuri.
この世とあの世が混ざってるカオスな街をアジアをベースにいろんなカルチャーが入り混じってい
Inspired
ま
by
す。
Asia blends
煙
many
りあ
different
るところに
cultures.
妖
They're
怪あり
saying,
という言葉
of
があり
course,
ま
the
して、
smoke
それ
there
を
are
妖怪ハンター
yokai.
が見つけ出します。そこで使うのが妖
And
怪
the
ハンタ
ability
ー
only
が使
possesses
え
the
る
fox
フォックス
window.
狐の窓です。この窓を介してパラノーマル現象
But
や
this window they
妖怪
detect
を見つけ出して
paranormal
で
phenomenon and
可視化して
yokai
そ
and
こに
reveal they
妖怪を
then
ハン
hunt
ト
the
しか
yokai.
し妖怪を
It's like a yokai hunter
集めるわ
game.
けではありません。私たちのゲームでは妖怪と
I
契
mean,
約
yokais
をし
are
なけれ
cool.
ばなりません。頂上をまとい未知を狩るあなた自身に憑依してもらいます。そして憑依した妖怪のパワーを使って憑依アパレルというかっこいいアパレルをまとってスーパー
Is
パ
it
ワー
open
で
world? I don't want to know if
強い
this game is like
妖
open
怪に挑んで
world.
この世界の謎に近づいていく。ハンターは種類が3つありまして、1つは刀ハンターになります。もう1つは
Katana hunter, bow
次は
hunter,
シャーマン。
the shaman.
皆さんお気づきの通りマルチプレイあります。仲間と一緒に暴れて死にかけて妖怪ハンターとして一緒
Escape
に
Death
こ
and
の
as a
煙
yokai
シティ
hunter.
で煙って遊んでいただければ嬉しいです。私たちはカオスをお届けして笑いをお届けしたいと思って煙を作ってます。あの世に最も近い都市煙シティへようこそと言いたいところですが、煙はまだまだ開発中です。情報いっぱい落としてい
It
きま
looks
す
good
の
so
で
far. This game is still in development. It looks
これ
good.
から楽しんでください。レッツ煙、煙っていこう。シュッシュッシュッシュッシュッシュッシュッシュッシュッカカカカカカ。
Kimuri coming to play in 2027, so next year. Oh yeah, it's a Tomb Raider. That's what I'm excited for. Tomb Raider. We're gonna see we're gonna see gameplay.
Been halfway across the continent looking for you.
Finally, I've been waiting for this Tomb Raider game.
Down.
Damn, why is she thick?
Well, you found me.
Ms. Croft, I hear when it comes to retrieval, you're the one to hire. This
Okay,
isn't
it was
about
fighting,
glory
shooting.
or money or making the world a better place.
Puzzles, of
This is
course.
a puzzle buried in centuries of silence. You don't strike me as someone who walks past a locked door without wondering what's behind it. There's a
Her
reason
voice sounds
I can
familiar.
only trust you with this.
Experience the adventure that define the legend. Oh, is this like a prequel? Like,
Gotta say.
I guess it's a prequel. Oh no, they did. No, they did say this is a prequel. This is a prequel
You're assuming
to show like
that side.
how Laura Croft became Laura Croft. Coming out next year in February. Okay. Oh, and you get her. Oh, you get her. What was it? The Tomb Raider outfit.
So, what was your favorite from today?
I liked the Allosaur.
Dinosaurs. Okay.
What did you like about it?
He's big and loud. Rah.
Another dinosaur. There's a dinosaur.
Oh, I think my favorite is the Diplodocus.
First person. Okay. Calling it now. It's a dinosaur horror game. It's a dinosaur horror game. It's a first-person dinosaur horror game.
I don't know if I can do this.
You need to keep moving.
Dude, that thing is big.
You have no other choice.
Calling it out. Dinosaur horror game. Betting on it.
There's always a choice.
The Lost Wild. Coming 2027. Looks cool. Oh, isn't it that one game that they showed off in I think it was the Summer Game Fest? Can't remember it. Can't remember the name. Probably if I see the name, I'll probably remember it. Yeah, that guy looks familiar. Yeah, Phantom Blade. Yeah. Now I remember it. Now I remember it. Yeah, this was shown off in the Summer Game Fest. Like I think it was like a year ago.
Back in early 2023, S-Game first showed us Phantom Blade Zero in passing at a hotel.
Yeah.
And we knew immediately that this game had incredible potential.
This game was like shown off like a while ago.
Look forward to more details in a gameplay and story deep dive coming later
Late
this summer.
summer. Yeah, late summer 2026. All right.
Next, let's head over to the sandworm-infested sands of Arrakis in Dune Awakening. In this open-world survival RPG, you can fully immerse yourself in the world of Dune. Unravel a cinematic story filled with mystery and intrigue.
I low-key want to play that game.
Characters from the books and movies.
I don't watch Dune or anything like that. I'm about to start watching Dune.
Alone
But that game
or with
looks good,
friends,
though.
You will explore the vast open world of Arrakis and learn to
I don't watch
survive
Dune or anything,
and
but I'm gonna
thrive
get around
by
to
unlocking
it.
the secrets of the Fremen. Along the way, you'll discover new technologies, craft gadgets and weaponry, and build a base of operations that will grow and expand as you progress towards power.
Base
and
building?
fortune. Pursue the path of the Bene Gesserit, Swordmaster, Trooper, or Mentat, and master anything from mind control to brutal hand-to-hand combat. In Dune Awakening, you can choose to play with your friends or alone in a brand new single-player mode arriving with the PlayStation release. Dune Awakening arrives on PS5.
Yeah, my friend has that
September
game, and he was
22nd.
like, "It's pretty good."
Pre-orders start today.
Might play it
The
and
fan
watch the
favorite
movies.
PS2 classic Dynasty Warriors 3 is getting remastered for PS5. Dynasty Warriors 3 Complete Edition Remastered is a modern revival of the 2001 game that established the foundation of the series. Players can become one of over 40 officers and experience intense.
I used to play Dynasty Warriors back in the day.
Across vast
I think it was Dynasty Warriors 7 that I played.
And joining the battle is Zilwan, the protagonist from Dynasty Warriors Origins.
It ends here.
Dynasty Warriors 3 Complete Edition Remastered.
Dynasty Warriors 3 Complete Edition Remastered launches later this year. Pre-orders start today.
Yeah, James, hold on. I'm like
From
paying
the
attention to
award-winning
the
studio
to
behind
the
the
stream.
Ori series comes a bold new vision for action RPGs.
But yeah, James.
No Rest for the Wicked is a
Oh yeah, this
Souls-like
game was shown
skill,
off in I think it was
consequence, and precision
I think
combat.
it was the
Step
Game
into a living,
Awards, if I'm not
hand-painted
mistaken.
world you can explore alone, or share with friends in your own persistent realm. A world that evolves even when you're offline.
Yeah, this
The
thing.
highly anticipated
I forgot
full
about that.
1.0
That was their
release
gimmick.
expands everything. A massive world, a deep classic progression system, and hundreds of hours of content, including endgame, all with full crossplay and cross-save. No Rest for the Wicked launches on PS5 this October.
Coming October,
And is
okay.
available to wishlist now. Up next, let's check in with Capcom for an update on Onimusha: Way of the Sword.
Does it matter?
Yeah, this game I really want to play.
You do well to follow his example.
I thought you'd see the appeal, Musashi.
This game I really want to play. Cause I played the original Onimusha.
That castle on the mountain.
Were you?
Musashi, I sense Genma. Prepare yourself. No ordinary Genma can move like that.
I played the original.
It was designed to welcome visitors. The castle's owner must be terribly cautious.
I am Suten Tochi, Miyamoto Musashi, the fool who seeks strength yet rejects the power of the Oni. You shame yourself, child. Witness my might!
If you live by the sword, fighting is everything. So you've lost. Will you swap the sword for a trowel? Like hell I will. No? What then? Are you going to start taking human souls? If human souls are what it takes.
Musashi, if that's the path he walks, I will follow. I've chosen to trust Musashi's judgment in all matters.
Ori departed. Give me every ounce of power that you have. In return.
Then get going.
Onimusha, where the sword? I can't wait for this game to come out. And it's coming out this year in September. Nice. Now they finally gave us a release date.
We can't wait to get our hands on Onimusha: Way of the Sword this September.
Me too,
But
when I get
you
money.
won't have to wait long to try it yourself. Here's one more update from the Onimusha team.
And there's a demo, nice. I might play it on stream. I might play the demo on stream. You gotta try. Oh, you got a charm? Hey, look, you need to get a job. This game, nice, cool games. I think is this the new Silent Hill game that's coming out? Yep. I knew it. Yeah. No, it is. It is. It is. It is. It's the new Silent Hill game coming out. This was released. Oh no, this was announced like a couple state of plays ago.
Are you there? Please say something. Where did you go, Simon?
Something doesn't feel right.
There's a whole bunch of Silent Hill games I need to play. I need to play I need to play Silent Hill 2. I need to play Silent Hill F.
I'm sorry,
And then this one that's coming out.
Zoe?
What are you doing here?
It looks good. Creepy but good.
There's more of them.
I'm so sorry.
September. There's a lot of games coming out in September.
The target is the front gate of the capital of our homeland, the Federation of Central Asia. We will storm from the sea and take the capital back from our enemy.
Oh, it's Ace Combat. I'm about to say Ace Combat. That's Ace Combat.
The one whose rear we'll have to cover?
The people left behind back on the continent need something to hold on to.
Calling it Ace Combat. That's Ace Combat, the new one.
We will be in visual range of the land battleship soon.
Enemy artillery intensifying. Damn it. Where's Wings when you actually need him? All units return to base.
Is that battleship on land?
That's where the Wings of Thief comes in. The legendary savior. Dee wants the legendary savior to get as much publicity as possible.
I said that's the new Ace Combat game that's coming out. Now we get to see some gameplay.
All aircraft, pull out.
Sorry, Rex. You stay put, Joker One.
Above you flies the Wings of Thieves. No harm will come to you. Hands to the sky, everyone. Hope is within reach.
The Terminus fingers.
What, the imposter? Sharing information isn't always about telling people the truth.
Hope's all we can offer, right, Joker One?
It's an ambush. Shadows.
Just as planned. We dangled the bait and Wings took it.
We'll find out soon enough.
Would you please? Green flight, defensive maneuver.
We've got a leak.
Is it time to run, Ray?
Hang on. Joker One, down's an enemy.
You never ran away, did you?
Here we go, Rex.
Come on, Ray.
Let's go, Rex.
These skies belong to you, Rex. Go take what's yours.
Yeah, that's the new Ace Combat. Knew it. Remember. Now we get to see some gameplay finally. It's coming out in October. It's funny how some games are not coming out in November. They're all coming out in October and September. It's a little bit funny. Because everybody knows what's coming out in November. Everybody knows. I don't have to say what game it is. Everybody knows what game that's coming out in November this year. Everybody knows. It's kind of funny that most of these games are coming out before November. Because of one game. It's all because of one game. But it's kind of weird that all these games are coming out before November. Most of these are October and September releases. And next year too. And next year releases.
今回エースコンバット8ウィングスオブシーブにはダウンロード版はプレイオーダー
Part
特典とし
of
て
Ace Combat
パッケ
Zero,
ージ
the
版には
Belkin
早期
War?
購入特典としてエースコンバットゼロザ・ベルカンウォーの移植版がつくことになりました。ぜひ8と世界を同じくするストレンジリアルの世界をもっと深く楽しんでください。お知らせした通り発売まではあと少しです。出撃の準備を整えてお待ちください。ありがとうございました。
Coming to PS5. Saber. Okay, we got a Supra. It's supposed to be that train scene from Fast and Furious. That's why they had the Supra there. I don't know this game. This game looks new. New Rayman Legends game. New Rayman. There's a new Rayman Legends game coming out called Rayman Legends Retold. And then the Wolverine game, some other games, and that's about it. There's a bunch of movie cars that I noticed. There's a Knight Rider earlier. Yeah, just a DeLorean. There's a lot of movie cars.
Great take. Think we got it. Yep, roll playback.
Stuntman Hollywood. Yeah, Stuntman Hollywood. Oh, marathon, not marathon.
Nasty injuries. It's like a beast tore him apart. A beast? Out here? Are you drunk or something? Do him up and show him out. But he's still weak, so be careful.
What's going on?
Team Cloud.
Save your ammo.
Ew.
Die.
Ew.
Bastard. And you're tough. Surprisingly lively for someone who just came out of a coma.
If you want to survive.
Surprisingly lively for someone that came out of a coma. What is this acting? Surprisingly lively for somebody that came out of a coma.
You fell from the moon.
What game is this?
I will help you, but you must not go there.
I'll take my chances. Turns out I'm a lucky man.
What the fuck is that shit?
You'll find nothing there but death.
Well, good luck. Keep quiet in there.
Ew. It's just ew. It looks like a horror game. Oh, it's that new Control. I knew it. Yeah, it's that new Control game that's coming out. How'd your other account got banned?
Something is coming. I have to go.
It's that new Control game.
Like an earthquake.
Damn, I gotta play Control. I gotta play
But
Control
it was just a
again.
paperclip. Falling off a desk. The tiniest tremor before the main event.
Jesse.
I know what they put you through. You never had a chance.
Yo, what's good, CJ? What's good?
2 days before the lockdown fell, an uncategorized resonance appeared in Manhattan. As things stand right now, Dylan,
I want to
you're
play
our
this
only
game.
shot at survival.
I want to play this game. I love any game from Remedy Studios because they always push out bangers. The Control series and the Alan Wake series. You low-key should. You low-key should go to college, CJ.
You are not FBC. You're not even fucking human.
The FBC locked me in that cell for years and forgot about me. The hiss. It was a
They
way
forgot
out.
about your ways.
People can change. The past doesn't matter.
Yeah, Control Resonate, I knew it. September 24! How many fucking games are coming out in September and October? There's too many now. It's too many.
Have fun together.
No game that doesn't want to come out in November because they're scared. They're scared. There's another game coming out in September. Another one. Marathon, I'm calling it. Marathon Season 2. So many games are coming out in fucking... So many games are coming out in September, October. No game does not want to like touch November besides GTA 6. That's why they don't want to come out GTA. They don't want to come out in November because they're scared. They're gonna get overshadowed by GTA 6. But it's Marathon Season 2. I'm calling it Marathon Season 2 because I did see like a post about it.
And vast. Secrets buried in shallow graves.
Calling it Season 2 Marathon. They did? Okay, so I'm gonna lower it down a little bit because it is just Marathon. Basically, they did show off the Wolverine game. They showed off the Wolverine game literally at the beginning of the live stream. They showed that off. It was fire. I like it. Might get it. Might. What else? Rayman Legends. A new Rayman Legends game is coming out. Rayman Legends Retold. That's what it's called. Can't wait for that too, because I grew up with Rayman Legends. And then they showed off like a whole bunch of other games like Silent Hill Townfall. I think it was Musha, Ace Combat 8. I'm trying to remember what other games. And some other new ones like Ill, which looks okay-ish. Looks like a horror game. I don't know if I'm gonna get that. Now we got Marathon Season 2.
Endless life.
I'm waiting for like some other games, some other well-known games to bask in this on my screen right now. To aura farm at least. Yeah, new zone, new shell, 2 new weapons, Marathon Nightfall coming out in this literally today. Okay.
The dangerous and cutthroat world of Marathon expands today with its second season, Nightfall.
Yeah,
if you
Season
haven't
2,
checked
I
out
knew it.
Marathon yet,
I
PUBG announced
knew
an
it.
open
Called
trial
it.
period for the launch of Season 2. You'll also be able to pick up Marathon at a discount.
But because I want to play that game too.
Now, let's take a look at what's coming soon to PlayStation Plus.
But nah, get that Rayman Legends game though.
Is finally coming to PlayStation for the first time. RuneScape Dragon Wilds is an open-world survival
RuneScape?
game where you
Really?
rise from survivor to dragon slayer. Play solo or with friends as you explore Ashenfall, a beautiful, dangerous new frontier in the RuneScape universe, where power is earned and every action deepens your mastery. With magic at your command, cross deadly terrain, mass forage in seconds, uncover hidden paths,
I've
and
not played
outmatch
RuneScape in
brutal
like a hot
monsters.
minute.
Craft
That's what I'm
stronger
hoping
gear,
for.
Master magic, melee, and ranged combat, and push deeper into uncharted regions of Gielinor. Build a home together, farm the land, and fish the waters.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping
Make it yours.
for a Raging Blast.
RuneScape Dragon Wilds arrives day 1 on PlayStation Plus later this year.
Fall 2026. Available for premium and
Next
extra.
up, here's a preview of games coming to the Classics catalog.
So
in the
much
next
stuff.
few months.
Game reveals for PlayStation. They showed off the Wolverine game first. I was hoping that was gonna be the last thing that they were gonna show was the Wolverine game, but now they show that shit the first, like literally at the beginning. And a new Rayman Legends game too. Guitar Ruman? I've never heard of that one. These are old.
In July, Psyops the Mindgate Conspiracy joins the Classics catalog. This PS2 action adventure mixes running.
Yeah, these are old. I've never heard of Psyops. What game is this?
And finally, Onimusha: Dawn of Dreams, a
classic
from 2006.
Yeah, this is the old one.
In August.
It's Onimusha, the original one. Yeah, this is the original. 2026, August. That better not be it. Oh, okay, I'm about to say.
Kashima Island.
I'm about to say that better not be it.
Stories. Our goal.
I mean, it's not even been an hour yet. It hasn't even been an hour yet.
This is.
So like, it can't be that. That can't be it.
International.
Thanks. Come on, let's get a photo together.
Over! You're rotated on that one.
A for effort, dude.
Who's the buff idiot?
Does no one know this guy?
Yeah, I don't know that guy. I don't know that guy.
Oh, you two haven't met yet, right?
Sebastian, I'll be looking out for you.
Roland, whenever you're ready.
This facility has been shut down for decades. Uninvestigated, untold, until...
What game is this? It always starts with that. It always starts with that. Whenever two characters get, you know, a little frisky, a little freaky, there's always somebody gonna die. Somebody's gonna die. Classic horror movie.
We gotta go. Right.
Have a bad feeling.
Oh my god! As soon as two characters start getting frisky, that's when stuff starts hitting the fan.
Take a deep breath.
Fuck! Which way?
Steady the mind.
We're gonna have to jump!
There's rocks down there!
Fresh Luke, Jump Alone. This is it's one of those games. Damn.
Can you do what needs to be done?
Until Dawn 2? Until Dawn 2? They're making a second game? 2027, of course.
Hi, I'm Stu T.
Until Dawn 2?
At Firesprite Games, and I hope you enjoyed the first look at our
I got the
brand new
remastered game on my
installment of
PC. I got the remastered on my PC.
A successful crew of ghost hunters who fake all their best content come face to face with real horrors for the very first time.
Whenever you're ready.
Having
No
just decided
way
to
they're making a
execute the
sequel.
network, they visit an abandoned tropical island, but beneath that beautiful surface hides dreadful, heartbreaking secrets, centuries old.
I fuck with the first game. The first game was fire.
We're looking
They're
forward
making a
to sharing more
sequel?
details about this very soon, ahead of release.
A second game is coming?
Thank you.
Till Dawn 2 coming in 2027.
Now we have one more game to show.
Yeah, that's gonna be it. That's gonna be it for the live
This is a
stream.
brand new title debuting with more than 20 minutes of uninterrupted gameplay. So turn up the volume, sit back, and enjoy.
Oh, I got the volume all the way up. Wonder what game this is. The last game. It's the last game. Fingers crossed, it's something good. Sony Interact Entertainment presents. If it says Santa Monica Studio or something else, oh, we know it's gonna be a banger. The humming sounds familiar. The humming sounds familiar. Hold on. Wait a minute. Might be some Santa Monica Studio! Santa Monica Studio! I knew it! God of War, calling it. God of War Studio. God of War game. God of War game. God of War game. God of War. Calling it.
Find your way home.
God of War! God of War!
You are free.
God of War sequel! It's a sequel! It's a sequel! It's a sequel! Remastered sequel! I don't care! It's a God of War game! Alright, I'm gonna shut up now. I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna let the video talk. I'm gonna let the live stream talk. It's probably the PS4 remaster. It's probably a PS4 remaster. I'm calling it. It said capture on PS5 Pro. There's Young Atreus too, so it gotta be a remaster to the 2019 God of War game. I'm like, the humming sound familiar? And if I said if it's Santa Monica Studio, it's gonna be gas. And I knew it. Wait, hold on. This is different. Hold on, this is new. This is new. This is new. I don't think it's a remaster. I don't think it's a remaster. It's Faye! It's Faye! New game. Nah! 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 No way! No fucking way! No fucking way! We're getting a game with her. No way we're getting a game with her. Not with Faye. Not with Faye. 10 out of 10 automatic. I'm just kidding. That's too soon to say it. But that is crazy. We're getting a game with her. And we're getting 20 minutes of gameplay too. Yo, new God of War game is crazy. It is not with Kratos.
You know where I am?
That is crazy. I'm like, that humming sound familiar. I'm like, it can't be God of War. Can't be Santa Monica.
Okay. Burned clothes. The pyre. It happened. They're starting on the path. It's just... I didn't get to say goodbye.
Oh, she could double jump? Okay. She could double jump?
This definitely isn't the light of Alfheim.
We're getting a spin-off. We're low-key getting a fucking spin-off. But it's with Faye, and it's like right after she died. I was not expecting this. I'm about to say, grab a sword, Faye. Okay, parrying, okay. I mean, that's gonna be in this game. It's a God of War game. Air combos, okay.
Shouldn't have been that difficult.
air combos. We're getting. This is crazy.
Yeah. Armor. Good idea.
I really thought it was a remaster. It's not a remaster. This has to be like Valhalla or so. This has to be Valhalla, where she's at, or wherever like soul, because she's not in hell. She's not in Helfheim. Helfheim is like where the dead goes. She has to be in Valhalla. But then again, Valhalla is like where warriors die. If they died in battle, they go to Valhalla.
Guess I'll find my own way.
But it doesn't look like she's in Valhalla. Because she hasn't died in battle, she died in natural causes. So this is like new. This is a new place.
That mask. No, it can't be. It's not possible.
So yeah, it looks like it's taking place like between both God of War games, between Valhalla and 2019's God of War. Because this takes place right after she died. Like, as soon as she got, you know, cremated or burned, her body got burned. It's right after. But it's in between games, which is cool. We're getting that and the remaster trilogy is crazy. Or real the remakes, the original trilogy. Yo, Santa Monica is cooking. They're really cooking with God of War games.
Did she come from the Eagle Onslaught? Not the gates. The gateway is closed.
And after this, we're gonna have some discussions, talk about what we saw, what piques my interest, what looks good.
Let him go!
Yeah, this is before they kill Odin. So that's... I'm gonna predict the name of the game. It's gonna be called God of War Valhalla. God of War Valhalla or God of War Faye. Or Faye Valhalla something. That dude looks tough. That dude looks tough. Who is that? Who are these two people? I really want to know who are these two people, because that guy looks tough. That red dude looks tough. That green lady with the dreadlocks, I don't know. She looks alright.
Another mask. This is important to you. I wonder, do you think this could set you free?
You touch me again, and I swear, I will kill you.
I would have said I would have beat the.
See how hard it is to die here, Godly? I can show you.
I would have been like, I would have beat the brakes out of you.
Keep me here.
The gateway is closed. There is no escape.
Resisting the truth will only make this more painful.
Segment.
No, Betsy. I will handle that problem. You deal with our new pet.
What is this place? Like, I really want to know what this place is. Because like I said, it's not Helheim. And it's not Valhalla. It doesn't look like Valhalla. Unless it is. So that's only the one place I know it could be is Valhalla. It has to be Valhalla. Yeet. I'm gonna get this game too. I'm gonna get this one. It's either gonna come out before the remake, the God of War remake, or right after.
Okay. I think they're gone.
Just be careful.
Fucking cube?
Fresh air. Oh, you're different.
You're a cube. Talking.
Why does
You
his
know
voice
what?
sound
It doesn't
familiar?
matter. How do we get out of here?
This voice sounds familiar.
Yeah, we've tried. There's no way out.
The cube, not the sword.
Sword. I'm not the sword. I'm the ribbons, obviously. And my name is Rue. The cube is Frank. I'm Faye.
Yeah, it's Faye.
There has to be a way out of here.
A way out? But you're not even all here.
His voice sounds familiar. Who is that cube? That cube sounds familiar.
I'm dead. You have to be dead to come through the gateway.
It's like you're holding something back.
That's Jack Quaid! Hold on, that's Jack Quaid! That's Huey! That's Huey from The Boys! I know that voice anywhere! Somebody, his voice sounds familiar. That's just Jack Quaid!
Afterlife of the gods? I'd call it the Everyone.
Afterlife of
That's Huey!
Great.
That's Superman!
So,
From Live Adventures of Superman!
Not your boss, Frank. That cask. That's why you're trapped.
Yeah. Wait, you made that big explosion happen, right?
Yeah, that's Jack Quaid! I'm like, I know that voice!
My magic is wrong here. I feel wrong here.
You want out, right?
I think we all want that. We definitely do.
Dude, they got a golden voice cast now. Fucking Jack Quaid.
You need to accept it. All of it. You're dead.
That's Huey.
How? How do I accept that?
Simple. Focus. You're here. Be here.
What if I need to be somewhere else?
Then focus on what you do need.
Where is she though? Like where is she? There's so many theories that I have. Maybe here Kratos too.
Hey, that's it. What were you thinking of?
A promise.
Okay, we'll take it. Now let's get out of here.
Okay. Get ready.
Wait! Not a good idea. Bad idea.
I gotta like shut up and listen, okay? Cause like I'm just excited. I'm excited. We're getting another God of War game, and it's not Kratos.
Kratos.
Not really there. He's not really there.
Rue? I think you should give her the sword.
How do I know I can trust her?
I'll give it back. I promise.
Okay. Take it.
Oh damn! Separated his soul from his body. What the fuck? What type of Doctor Strange shit is that? What type of Doctor Strange shit is that?
Lady, you need to get out of here.
Not until I get you out.
I don't need help. Here we go, coming up behind.
Oh, we get to see. Yeah, I'm about to say we get to see a kill animation. Weave. Yo, the combat is sick. We get air combos too, and we get assists like that. That's cool. And we get air kills too. Okay. Boy, the Doctor Strange shit is that though? Like,
Got an idea on opening that cage.
Hey, kid! Get ready!
Come on!
No! I got a promise to keep.
Fine, but lady, that sword, it's more than you think it is.
yo, they really giving us like 20 minutes. This is like a long ass 20 minutes. We're getting a lot though. That's cool.
Don't make promises you can't keep, Gotham. Try again!
Damn!
Faye, focus!
Traitor! I will wrench you sweat by sweat! You don't know what you wield.
What is it?
Oh, so her little magic thing is a shield.
You're scared of this sword.
Why?
I fear nothing!
Okay. Okay. God of War. There you go. Now we get a title. God of War Lao Fei. God of War Lao Fei. Now we get a title drop. Coming to PS5. We're getting another God of War games, guys! Yay! Yay! We're finally getting another God of War game! Yay! Finally! It is a spin-off too. I'm gonna say this. The state of play, they were cooking. They were cooking. They were cooking straight bangers. Straight bangers. Banger after banger. We got release dates, we got new games coming out. It's in development. Until Dawn 2, Tomb Raider, the Wolverine game, Marvel Tokon, which I'm definitely gonna be definitely want to get. And that Silent Hill game. And that is it. That is it. That is the end of the state of play. Wow. That was a lot to uncover. There is a lot to uncover right there. There is a lot. There is a lot to uncover. But I'm gonna say this, they were straight bangers, bro. Straight bangers. I might VC later, but I might have to. I'm gonna end stream. I'm gonna end the stream in like in a little bit, and then I have to edit this thing, edit this entire thing. So that's gonna take a while. But I'm gonna say this, there were straight bangers in the state of play. That's crazy, yo. New God of War game. We're getting a new God of War game, a new one, and it's all about Faye. It's crazy. I cannot wait. I can't wait. Okay, so there's a lot of games to uncover there. There was a lot of games to like uncover. I would say that Wolverine game I'm like very excited for. That Wolverine game I'm excited for. Until Dawn 2. That was left field. Can't wait for that one too. Let's see if anybody's like typing in the chat in the on the YouTube on the live stream. Let's see if anybody's like anybody else is excited for any other games. But that is crazy. We're getting a new God of War game, a new one, and it's about Faye. I mean, there was like leaks in a way that there was like rumors of like a spin-off that's coming, and it was all about Atreus though. But I was not expecting Faye though. And we get to see what happened to her after the 2019 God of War game. Cause like I would assume that she would just go to hell or Valhalla, but I'm like she can't be in Valhalla because she didn't die in battle. Cause there's only one way you can go to Valhalla, and that's if you die in battle. And then she can't be in hell because that does not look like hell. That does not look like Helfheim. That does not. So she has to be in some other new place, some new dimension. I might have to like brush up on my Norse mythology a little bit, which I'm about to check. I'm gonna say the all. Let me see all the realms again. All the realms. The 9 realms is the 9 realms. There's 9 realms in Norse mythology. I only know a few, not all of them, but most of them. Not interested in AI mode. Let me see. She's not in Asgard. I know that for sure. She's not in Niflheim. She's not in Hell. Not in Muspelheim either. Or Alfheim, because Alfheim is just mostly cold. It's just cold, snowy. Muspelheim is just straight fire. Jotunheim, that's the place of that's the birth of the giants. Hell, she can't be in there because it's not like creepy isk there, so she can't be there. She's definitely not in Midgard. She's dead still. She's not in Asgard either. She's not in what was it? Novalir or Salfheimer? That's how you say it, or is it South? I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna say Novalir. Novalir. She's not in there either. So she has to be in a brand new place. She can't be in Vanaheim either, because Vanaheim is just mostly grass. Let's say Valhalla. She has to be in Valhalla. That's the only like logical place that she can be at, because yeah, I mean she didn't die of old age, but did she die of sickness? Because she can't be in hell though, because hell doesn't look like that. Oh wait, no, Niflheim. Niflheim is the. She has to be in hell. She has to be in hell. Actually, she can't be in She can't be in Valhalla. She's in hell. She's in hell. She has to be in hell. She has to be. Cause yeah, no, she definitely has to be in. She has to be in hell because she's dead. She has to be in hell. It's the bleak and gloomy underworld, but it's not gloomy though. Did we go to Helheim in one of the? I'm pretty sure we did go to Helheim in like both God of War games, both God Ragnarok and the 2019 God of War game. I know that for sure. I'm pretty sure we went to Hell at one point, or in both games, one of the games. Hold on. I know we went to. I know we went to. Yeah, we did. So I'm like, she can't be in Hell. She can't be in Helheim. So she has to be somewhere new. Somewhere that's new, a new realm maybe. Yeah, no, she can't be in fucking Helheim because Helheim is not there. It's not like it doesn't look like that. Can't be in Niflheim because Niflheim is different too. She's not in Vanaheim either. She's not in Asgard. She's not in Alfheim. She's not in Muspelheim. She's not in Jotunheim or Nivellir. She's not in Midgard no more. So she's in a new realm. Actually, I'm gonna check. I'm gonna check here in the world tree. Yeah, cause like okay, so Asgard is like where all the Aesir are at, all the Aesir gods. So that's Thor, that's Odin, that's where Loki is also in too. In Norse mythology, they're all in Asgard. That's like all the major gods there. Vanaheim is more of like a forest realm. It's more of a you visit Vanaheim in Ragnarok and God of War Ragnarok and Alfheim 2 in both games. You visit there twice. Actually no, you visit Alfheim once in the first game, and then you don't go there again in the second in Ragnarok. Nivellir, that's where the dark elves and the light elves are at. That's where they're at. So I'm like, Faye has to be in another realm, because she can't be in Valhalla, because Valhalla is not it's not for her. So I'm like, she has to be somewhere new. She has to be somewhere new. Because yeah, she's not in. She's not in Niflheim because Niflheim is more of like an icy place. So is Jotunheim too. No, Jotunheim and Niflheim are both ice. They're both strictly ice. And then Muspelheim is just fire. It's just straight up fire. Volcanic rocks, volcanoes, lava pools. And then Helheim is just mostly just dead. It's just where the dead goes to go to their resting place. That's where the souls are at. All the souls. So I'm like, Faye has to be somewhere new. Let me see. I don't know if they actually talk about the game a lot, or if there's like any new news about the game. Because yeah, they just announced the new God of War game, God of War Laufey or Laufey, whichever one you want to call it. But where she's at is like it has to be a new place, or they might just be like, yeah, no, you're in Valhalla. You're in Valhalla. This is Valhalla, or this is hell. This is hell. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. That's cool that we get to see Kratos twice. We get to see Kratos twice in this game. Or hopefully we're gonna see him like a lot. We're probably gonna see him a lot in the game. Not as like a playable character, or probably just like as in memories, because this is a prequel. And I mean this is right after she dies. Oh, there's even more. There's even more about it in the PlayStation Store. Cool. Experience the next chapter of the legendary God of War franchise for both new and returning fans alike. Death was supposed to be the end, but for Laufey, or Faye, warrior and wife of Kratos, is a new adventure is just beginning, awakening unexpectedly in a strange land after her death. Faye discovers the plans she put in place to protect Kratos and Atreus in her absence are now at risk. To save the one she loves, Faye must fight through the afterlife of the gods. The everyone! That's where she's at. The everyone. Ah. Okay, that's where she's at. She's in everyone. I'm gonna see what that. I'm gonna see why. Yeah. My brain. Me typing stuff is not working. Okay, so. Okay, so the everyone is new. So it's new. Okay, I was like. Okay, in Norse mythology, everyone is not a traditional concept. It's a transcendent afterlife dimension introduced in the 2016 video game of God of War Laufey. This realm serves as a magical nexus where gods and creatures from various mythologies intersect and clash. Ooh, if you're looking for traditional actual... So this is new. So she's in a new place. She's in a new place. By the power landfill overfilling this dangerous magic, harness phase, speed, control, and relentless to overwhelm the fiercest of foes with decisive, deadly precision. God of War Laufey is coming into PlayStation 5. We can wishlist it now. That's crazy. Okay, so it looks like the everyone is because there's like different creatures. Like there's creatures that are not in God of War games traditionally. Like that cube looks like from Dungeons and Dragons type thing, and it's voiced by Jack Quaid too. Boy, who the guy who plays what's his face? Huey. Yeah, I'll check out your edit this later, Ash. That's crazy. We're getting a whole new God of War game. I can't wait for this one. I can't wait for this one to come out. But we get to play as Faye. So yeah, she's in the everyone. Yeah, it says it from across mythology, so it's probably a mixture of a bunch of mythologies. We might see some Greek gods, because it says like it's a clash of like different mythologies, and these guys are like not Norse mythology because these guys are new. Yeah, hold on. I'll check it. I'll check it after the stream. Man, this is cool. I want to get this game. gonna get this game. Can't wait. Can't wait. But yeah, so that was one game that they showed off. There's also that Rayman Legends game too. I don't know if they put any like some patch note or like anything about it. Rayman Legends retold. Actually, no, I mean, I've been streaming for like almost an hour. Well, and half an hour, so I'm gonna end streaming like in a little bit. I just want to go through everything that they showed off. See what I'm gonna be excited for, because I'm definitely gonna be excited for this Rayman Legends game too. Rayman Legends. I don't know if they put any. Yeah, they did. Of course they did. All right, let's see. So this is a new Rayman Legends game that's coming out too. Retold. Rayman Legends Retold launching October 1st. Announced during the today's state of play. It's coming out on October 1st for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, Switch 2, and GeForce. What is Black Knight? Black Knight? And PC through the Ubisoft Store, Steam, and Epic Game Store. Reimagining of the classic platform and developed by Ubisoft. Rayman Legends Retold is a new adventure that sends Rayman, Globox, Barbara, Grand Minimus, and Murphy on a journey to restore peace of the Glade of Dreams. When a shadowy venom spreads chaos throughout the realms. I know you're impatient, I can tell. Rayman Legends Retold is our way to revisiting what Rayman's so special, retelling that experience. Stunning 3D visuals, brand new story, fully voiced cinematics, a never before seen sixth realm. Okay. 4 all-new musical stages, thrilling dragon rides, new cave of trial challenges, return of Kung Fu. Kung Fu is coming back. I love that game. I love that game. The game was fun. With improved controls and customized rules, okay. An expanded soundtrack with acclaimed composers Christophe Hurrell and Grant Kirkhope. Now in new and improved gameplay. Nice. And there's the editions too. So standard editions. Wait, hold on. There are several editions in the game available for pre-order. Anyone who pre-orders any edition of the game will receive the Hoodlum Havoc Pack, which includes 2 costumes of Rayman and Globox, inspired by Rayman 3 Hoodlum Havoc. Standard edition includes base game, Rayman Legends, Enhanced Edition, the iconic 2D platform adventure now featuring 4K. Oh, Rayman Origins? Wait, Rayman Origins? The original game? Damn, okay. Enhanced edition of 4K featuring 4K resolution, 60 frames per second, new collectibles and rewards, and modern enhancements, including haptic feedback for compatible controllers and new quality of life features. Cool. Digital Deluxe Edition is digital only, or the Deluxe Edition. They just put Digital Deluxe Edition because digital only, but whatever. Comes with Rayman Origins, everything in the standard edition, but it comes with the retro pack with 4 costumes, including the classic Rayman outfit, Batella the Fairy outfit for Barbara, retro Hunter outfit for Globlox, and Electon Tensi outfit for Grand Minimus. Okay, and then an art gallery, and then the launch edition for retail only. Comes with everything the standard edition comes with, but has Glade of Dreams printed map and a set of 3 lithographs and a slipcase. And then we got the Digital Deluxe Upgrade Pack, which comes with the retro pack and art gallery too. Okay. That's pretty cool. Okay. I mean, it doesn't show. I mean, they did show gameplay. I'm just gonna put my fucking birthday, I guess. They did show off gameplay, which some of us did see on the trailer. Wrong fucking year, ma'am. I you just saying stupid. Okay, I guess I can't see gameplay from the website. That's pretty dumb and stupid. But it looks good. I'm a big fan of Rayman Legends, so can't wait to play that one. Me and my brother are both big fans. But that's cool. Also, they did show off Until Dawn 2. They showed off Until Dawn 2, which was low-key left field because I was not expecting it to be an Until Dawn game. Because they showed off that choice system where it was like push Luke or save Luke, something like that. And then he died to that rock when they fell, which is like, oof, that gotta hurt, that gotta sting. but I don't know if they put any things about the game yet. Doesn't look like they did. Oh no, they did for PlayStation. Yeah, PlayStation Blog. There you go. Until Dawn 2 is coming in PS5 2027. Which I did play the original. I did play the original Until Dawn, and I have Until Dawn on my PC too, which I might do a stream on sometime in the future. I don't know if it's the remastered of it, but it is the 2015 game. So yeah, might play that. Who knows? But can't wait. I can't wait for it. I was not surprising. I was not expecting a sequel though. It looks like this looks like a new cast of characters and everything. To like they're gonna be at a resort or an abandoned resort. So it looks like, yeah, back in 2015, Until Dawn arrived on PlayStation 4, and we all fell and screamed in love, in love with this instant classic. Now we're beyond expected to finally announce all new sequel for PS5. And if that's not enough, we got the world's first trailer right here just for you, which we already saw. So brand new, our cast. Okay, so our cast this time is a crew of ghost hunters. The faces behind the widely popular paranormal channel Dead True. Only well, they're never actually seen anything supernatural. The scares they are known for are, let's say, a little stage, but all that changes when, for the very first time, they will come face to face with real horrors and must start living up to their reputation to survive until dawn. Having just signed a deal with the big TV network, the crew just shipped off to an abandoned tropical island for for their first fully funded episode. At first, it's all sun, sand, and secrets. Plus some very not safe for the workplace drama as their complicated relationships bubble to the surface. Of course, there's some beautiful islands that meets the eye beneath the blissful exterior, high dreadful heartbreaking secrets, centuries old and hungry for vengeance, and our new crew have landed right in the middle of it. Chasing's like might have brought them here, but survival quickly becomes only the metric that counts. Will we help them escape to tell the world their story, or will they become just another haunted legend claimed by the island? Yeah, and then they have that choices and consequences system, just like the original game. He looks mad familiar. His actor found looks mad familiar. Would it even be an Until Dawn game without gut-wrenching decisions? Will you risk injury to save a cute baby boar from a gnarly bear trap? Keep a scandalous affair going even if it could blow up the group? Push someone to their breaking point, all for the sake of content that your meeting boss does not need to get. This time you will manage relationships within the crew matters more than ever, with some branches based on which things stand between characters. It is not just the huge moments, even small character moments can set off a butterfly effect, sending your story spinning off towards unforeseen consequences. And then, yeah, stay tuned for more, because that's all they got. Yeah, so here's our first bite. Willick Reigns of Until Dawn is our first release since Horizon Call of the Mountain, where blah blah blah. But yeah, Until Dawn 2. Can't wait for that game too. And then there was also, I forgot, yeah, the Wolverine game. Yeah, their Wolverine game. I don't know if they added any more, like, yeah, they did. Of course they did. Yeah, so they added more stuff into it. So they did show off Jean Grey. There she is, beautiful Jean Grey, red hair, everything. Which I was not surprised to see her, because yeah, I know she was gonna be in the game eventually. Also, Sabretooth was also shown. I don't know if they showed off like the. It looks like it's not loading for some reason. Yeah, I can't see the pre-order. Oh, there you go. Okay, I was like, wait, I can't see the pre-order bonus, and there you go. But oh, now the page looks weird. What the? Okay, there you go. So yeah, they did show off like how the healing is, and it's just like how it is for X-Men Origins Wolverine, like how that was. Basically, he'll heal over time. And then there's also that QTE moment too, where he's like at low health and then he's like fully healed up, which is also pretty cool. Can't wait for that. Can't wait for this game to come out. This is one of my most anticipated games to come out this year. Also, GTA 6 too. Surprising we didn't get no trailer for GTA 6 because they didn't say they were gonna start dishing out. But oh well. Ba ba ba. So yeah, they did show. They like I said, they did show off gameplay of the game, and then yeah, we get the pre-order bonus too. So you get the classic brown suit, reflective claws, a tech point, and then a bunch of avatars. Which is, I can't wait for that brown suit. That brown suit looks so fire. It looks really good. I like it. Looks fire. AF, and then we also have the deluxe, the digital editions and all that other stuff. So it looks like here for the digital deluxe edition, we're getting 5 new suits and 5 claws, and it looks like we're getting his classic suit, his very classic suit. We're also getting his what was it, that apocalypse suit from the comics also. This suit looks fire, and then this one too, and then that one with the jacket looks also fire. That's pretty cool. So you get the full game. You get 5 suits with 5 claws. Looks like they're gonna be for each suit. And this one looks like really short, and this one looks like really long claws. Which is pretty cool. And then you get the classic brown suit with the reflex. So you're basically getting 6 suits if you pre-order. You basically just get 6 suits and 6 claws. So that's cool. Digital Deluxe Edition, not bad. And then yeah, there's Sabretooth right there. Yeah, it says it right here too what the suits are. So you have the, I'm guessing from left to right. It's from up to down is left to right. Or oh wait, no. Yeah, okay, so I think I know which one is which. So the Incredible suit is that black and yellow one. The Savage one has to be the original one. The Age of Apocalypse is that one. The Night Hunt might be that blue and black one, and then the new leather is that one. So I think yeah. I think it's either Savage is the classic looking one, and the Incredible one is probably that one, or but yeah. Then we got 5 exclusive claws. We got the smooth and edge claws, hollow blade claws, thick claws, saturated spine claws, and then the tapered claws. There's a lot of claws. Yeah, and then we got Sabretooth, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it looks like that's the only additions. It's just the standard edition and the digital deluxe edition. Looks fire. Can't wait for that game. Can't wait for Wolverine 2 to come out. Can't wait. I mean Wolverine to come out. I don't know if there's anything else in the PlayStation blog that they added. I'm pretty sure they did. Oh yeah. Marvel's Tokon is another game I'm like hyped for too. I'm not a big fan of fighting games as much. Like the only fighting games I played were Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I'm trying to remember what else. Oh, Dragon Ball Fighter Z was another one, and Street Fighter 6 and Street Fighter 5 and Tekken. I think it was like Tekken 7 or Tekken 6, whichever one had Negan in it. Can't remember. It was one of them that had Negan in it from The Walking Dead. But yeah, Marvel's Tokon Battle or Tokon Fight, Tokon Fighting Souls. Can't wait for this one because we're getting yeah. So they showed off the Knights of Doom, character team that's coming to Marvel's Tokon Fighting Souls. Getting Carnage, we're getting Green Goblin and Magneto into the game, and they're all voiced by some very talented voice actors like Stephen Blum. So we're getting Spectacular Spider-Man's voice actor, and we're getting Stephen Blum, who also voiced Green Goblin in Spectacular Spider-Man also. So that's two people. They're doing a little reunion a little bit, which is also cool. Which is like, yeah! And then yeah, the Carnage looks so fucking sick. But yeah, Magneto's coming, Green Goblin, Carnage, which I think he was hinted at one point. Yeah, he was hinted. If I remember, everybody was like, it's either going to be Venom or Carnage coming, and yeah, it's Carnage. And then champion revealed. It looks like he's the big bad. Yeah, champion of the universe. So yeah, then we got the key art, new key art available, which shows like most of the characters. There's Spider-Man right there. There's also Ghost Rider, which that's the last team that's gonna be shown up. That's gonna be showing. Or that's gonna be shown for the game, and then boom, game releases. Damn, there you go. But yeah, I don't know who's gonna be for Team Ghost Rider. I'm hoping it's gonna be some like heavy hitters or like some well knowns, because I mean there's a lot of well known characters in here for Fighting Souls, which is pretty cool. And then what else? Yeah, there's a new game coming out. Actually, I'm just gonna do the popular games. So yeah, we also have Tomb Raider, more stuff on Tomb Raider, Legacy of Atlantis, which can't wait also because I'm a big Tomb Raider fan, like a really big Tomb Raider fan of all of the Tomb Raider games, especially Rise of the Tomb Raider. That was actually a pretty good one. But yeah, so this one's like a prequel, which I've been told. You also get the Survivor outfit from Rise of the Tomb Raider. But yeah, so it's basically just a prequel of Tomb Raider and how Lara Croft became Lara Croft and how she was like so well known in her field of work of adventuring and discovering unknown places. Right now she's going to Atlantis and trying to discover Atlantis. So yeah, there's a lot of puzzles and stuff, a lot of action, a lot of shooting, a lot of acrobats. But yeah, and it looks like inside the editions, it's coming out like next year in February. But yeah, you get the pre-order bonus. If you pre-order the game, you get the Survivor outfit, which is going to be an early unlock. And if you get the deluxe edition, you also get the pre-order bonus, and you get 48 hours of early access. So that's good. And you also get the persuasion, does it say Persian fugitive outfit early unlock, and then the post-launch DLC story pack. So yeah, that's cool. And then yeah, pre-orders are live now if you're hyped for Tomb Raider. And then what else? Oh, and they gave us a release date on Silent Hill Townfall also, which is coming out September. My headset turned off. Anyways, but yeah, they showed off like a little bit of gameplay. They showed off like a lot more of the game for Silent Hill Townfall, which I love the Silent Hill series. I have not played the remakes yet, which I want to. I do want to play Silent Hill 2 and F, but don't got money because I'm broke as shit. But yeah, so they did show off, like I said, they show off like the gameplay, a little bit more in depth of the story. They also showed off the release date, which is coming on September 24th. They showed off and yeah, now they're giving us like the lineup, what game editions are lined up. So we have the physical slash digital, which is like the standard edition of the game. It's full. You just only get the full game. Standard edition. I think if you get the early purchase, if you pre-order it, you get the CRT style Rusted and then CRTV style Beach Edition, which is only for PlayStation 5. So yeah, that's the pre-order bonus. And then if you get the deluxe edition, which is all digital by the way, yeah, this is like digital. These editions are digital only. No physical editions for any of these. Yeah, but for the deluxe edition, you get the full game. You get Simon's outfit, an alternate outfit for Simon, a digital art book, and a digital soundtrack. In the deluxe edition, you get everything from both editions plus 48 hours of early access, which is nice. Except for the deluxe edition, you don't get the pre-order bonus, but deluxe edition, if you pre-order it, you get the pre-order bonus and 48 hours of early access. So that's good. That's cool. That's cool. Another game I'm like hyped for is Control Resident 2, and that's also coming out on the 24th. So there's two games coming out on the same day, which is Silent Hill F and Control, which is like I said, any game that comes out of Remedy Studios is always going to be a banger, no matter what, because they always dish out bangers. Because like I said, I'm a big fan of like the Control series and Alan Wake, which I really love Alan Wake. Alan Wake is like the one game series I love the most. But yeah, they did show off like more in depth on the story, and it looks like Dylan's sister is gonna be in the story. I think that's Jesse, right? Yeah, that's Jesse. That's Jesse from the first Control game. But yeah, it looks really good, solid. I love it. Like I said, anything that comes out of Remedy Studios is gonna be a fucking solid banger. Because the combat looks really sick, and the story looks good too. And then let's see what else. They did show off. I don't know, Bancho the Chef. Actually, no, we're not gonna go there. Like I said, we're just gonna go with the big studio names. Like let's go to Unimasha. Yeah, Unimasha Way of the Sword. It's coming out on the 25th. There's a demo out today, which might stream sometime. I might figure out when, because I am gonna go on vacation soon, so I'm not gonna be on like my PC or anything. Speaking of which, I do gotta text my cousin, see if like they're down to pick me up on Sunday. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Anyways, yeah, it looks like Onimasha is coming out. Onimasha is coming out from 25th on PS5. There's a demo out today. Like I said, I might stream it someday. Don't know when, but I will. Um, but yeah, like I said, I played the original Unimasha on like PS3, and I'm glad that they're bringing it back because this game was actually fire. This game was fire. But yeah, Way of the Sword, you get the base game. This is a premium deluxe edition. You get like so the deluxe edition, you get the base game and the deluxe kit, but the premium deluxe edition, you get the base game, you get the deluxe kit, and you get a premium kit too. Looks like for some other characters, which is cool. But yeah, that game is coming out. I can't wait for that game. And they got Ace Combat 8, which I remember playing the free version. I think it was like Ace Combat 7. That was on PlayStation 3 also, which is just a fighter. It's a fighter jet game. You just do dogfights and fighter jets, and there's also like little battleships too. But yeah, this game also looks solid too. This one's like it's like really cool. Yeah, Ace Combat 7 was like the free was the only was the free to play the only free to play game on PlayStation 3. Let's get Ace Combat 7 Evolved. I think that was only the multiplayer mode. It's a free to play game. I think. Can't remember. But yeah, get a whole aircraft and stuff. Professor Joker Squadron, aircraft number 2, rank major. Same as Elliting Baxter, that's who he is. And then you got Tasha Seversky, who's in Joker Squadron, aircraft number 3, rank is second lieutenant. Then William Coster, Kate Evans, aka Little B. And then you get a pre-order today too. It's coming out, which comes out on October 2nd. And yeah, it looks like pre-order bonus. You get the aircraft, the F-14A, and you get also Air Combat Zero, the Balkan War, which is like cool. Yeah, but then you get the deluxe edition too, which is just a base game. Then you get the premium access Ace Pass Plus voucher, which is basically their battle pass. It looks like this. Yeah, it looks like their battle pass. And then you get 3 days early access and a customizable cosmetic set, which is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, now we're gonna go into like the unknown games. So, Bancho the Chef. Never heard of this game before, and it looks like it's the same people that made Dave the Diver, which I know. I never played it, but I did see gameplay of Dave the Diver. Yeah, my nose is like so fucking stuffed. But yeah, I never heard. It looks like Bancho was taking the lead on this all new cooking adventure prequel. It looks like it's probably a prequel to Dave the Diver, because I think he shows up in that game. So I'm like Bancho. I'm like so confused on who he is, but yeah, it looks like because that's where he's at. Tells the story of Bancho's growth as he travels across Japan, Korea, China, and other Asian regions, learning cuisine from master chefs and local. Yeah, new standalone prequel set in 2004, 19 years before the events of Dave the Diver. Yeah, so he wasn't Dave the Diver. Yeah, this tells way before like he meets Dave and how he like learns to cook. You know, it's like yeah, it's a cooking simulator game, which is like it looks cool, I guess. And then this one, I'm like interested. The Lost Wild, which comes out next year. It's like a dinosaur horror game from the looks of it. Cause like yeah, it's all in first person, and you're like making distractions and all that other stuff. It looks like these dinosaurs like came out of nowhere, like they time traveled here or something, which we don't know. And then another game, Stuntman Hollywood and now Hollywood, because yeah, it looks I was like so confused because I did see the Supra and I'm like, wait, yeah, that's the Supra from Fast and Furious. And they did that opening scene where the Supra jumps over the train or jumps like through the train line. In that one scene, and then there's the DeLorean from Back to the Future, and then they showed off the Knight Rider car too, which I was like, okay, this is weird. But it looks like you're just playing as a stuntman doing stunts for those movies, I guess. But yeah, that's about it. That was okay about it for the PlayStation State of Play of June 2nd, 2026. Like I said, this one was a banger. This one was like straight up heat. Like they really opened up with Wolverine first, and I'm like, yeah, no, I think they're I think they're gonna I think they're like blowing up. I think this one's gonna be a banger, straight up heat, straight up fire. Nothing more, nothing less. But yeah, the game I'm like most excited for is just the God of War game that's coming out, God of War Laufey. That's the one I'm like excited for. And this is in development, so there's gonna be like more to it. But yeah, it looks like they added yeah, so there is there is a lot. Yeah, there is a lot in this one. I did not read the blog for this one. Let me see. So yeah, we're thrilled to finally share the team at Santa Monica Studio has been working on the next mainline entry of the God of War series, which is God of War Laufey. So they're working on this game, and they're working on the remake of the original trilogy. That's what it looks like. So Death was supposed to be the end but for Laufey, Faye, warrior and wife of to Kratos, a new adventure is just beginning. Awakening unexpectedly in a strange land after her funeral, Faye discovers the plans she put in place to protect Kratos and Atreus are now at risk. To save the ones she loves, Faye must fight through the afterlife of the gods, which is the Everyone, which is a new realm. It looks like. Yeah, it looks like a new realm where ruthless gods from across mythology vie for power in a land of overwhelming and dangerous magic. That's where she ended up at. And like I said, it kind of that's what was like so confused at because like there's like so much like people or like things from different realms that didn't make sense. Like I did see like one of the bodyguards look like they're from Asgard. I also was like so confused. I was like, oh wait, no, this is before Odin dies. And that he has no like no rain in here. But then there was like that statue of the two beings that do show up in the gameplay, which is I don't know if they, yeah these two, which is Sekhmet and Bigsty. Which I'm like, okay, they kind of they're not like Norse mythology people or like Norse mythology gods or something like that. So I was like so confused. They look like they're from a different like realm or different land. Cause that looks. I'm gonna see if I can find these two in like mythology somewhere. I'm gonna see. Yeah, Egyptian. Okay, they're Egyptian gods. Yeah. Okay. So Sekhmet is an Egyptian god, and then Begtis. I'm probably saying that wrong. Is a Mongolian in Tibetan mythology. So Sekhmet is her, and then Bactiste is this guy, and they're both gods of war. One of them, yeah, they're both gods of war. Well, Sekhmet is the goddess of war, and then Bactiste is the god of war. Yeah, so that's crazy. Yeah, so these guys are. Yes, okay, cool. That's pretty cool. Okay, I was like so confused, but got okay. I was like really confused on that. But no, that God of War game, I'm gonna be like, I'm like excited. I'm the most excited for. So yeah, to save the one love, blah 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 blah. Let's see, God of War's next chapter is it's intimate, brutal combat, exploring of a rich, beautiful world. Story at its heart, right from the start, we know Laufey need to contain all the core elements that define a God of War game. Faye has always been a formidable warrior in our story. She and Kratos can both hit hard and take hits. So one of our top priorities throughout the development has been handcrafting a uniquely fresh feel for Faye's gameplay that can also meet the high expectations fans have for the series. Combining the movement and fidelity of the Greek era and the Norse era's approach of world building and close ties with characters, we crafted an experience that was given our team incredibly opportunities to take exciting creative swings, while staying true to pillars of the God of War series. Then there's an interview with the game director, which we didn't see. Game director Ariel sat down. Actually, I might. Yeah, let me do that real quick. Yeah, now you get to see my birthday. I don't care. I mean, everybody knows my birthday, so just want to see the interview.
Hello, everybody. My name is Corey Barlock. I am the head of creative here at Santa Monica Studio, and I am excited to be coming here to talk to you a little bit about the God of War franchise as we're expanding out, you know, TV, some games, but most importantly,
Yeah, I can't wait for the TV show.
for today, we're here to talk about God of War Lao Fei. And I have the director here sitting with me that I'm going to be talking to. Ariel Lawrence is somebody who I've worked with for 23 years. See, she's laughing because that, my God, is a long time. And obviously we've done different things throughout all of that, but we're gonna get to know Ariel just a little bit in this sit down and talk a little bit about our past and what the game is that we're making here. Ariel Lawrence,
yes,
how are
Corey.
you today?
Excited to be here.
Excited to be
Excited to be
That's
here.
good. That's a good answer. That's a good answer. Look, so when did you start working at Santa Monica? When was it?
I started working in Santa Monica in August of 2003, and I was right
Damn.
out of film school. I got hired to cut trailers and videos, and I cut the TGS
That's like a long
trailer
time.
for the first God of War. And then I wanted to do more than wait tables, so I asked if there was anything else I could do around here, and I ended up working in production. And I worked on God of War 1, 2, 3, Ascension, and I
Yeah,
was
so she's
2
been working
years on
for
2018
God of War for
before
like a
I took
while.
my little
That's crazy.
walkabout in the world. And then I couldn't get enough of this place. I came back home.
That's quite an amazing journey. You have deep roots with the God of War world. Cutting the trailer for TGS, that was like the first sort of thing that I worked on, I think, when I got here as well. So
that
we
was back in the
started-
day when Kratos had blue tattoo.
Yeah.
And
We're still calling him Dominus.
it's still calling him
Yep,
Dominus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the team was only like, 30, 35 people maybe? Small compared to now.
It's
small.
weird to think
Yeah.
about making games with that small of a group of people. When we were like 65 people, that's so much. And then we got to 100, that's so much.
Yeah.
Oh, what are the most memorable aspects of working on God of War, the whole franchise?
The whole franchise, I mean, I think each game definitely, I think, left its mark or scars, battle scars.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like the studio's just the commitment to quality and the late nights with each other trying to figure out some problem or make some magic happen in the middle of the night, or coming back in and somebody took a smoke break and, I don't know, maybe change the boss of God of War 2. I think that might have been
I feel
you.
like that's a dig at me. I feel like I'm going to own that one because that's entirely true.
But yeah, no, I mean, every game was like a new set of challenges. Like, how do you make Titans? How do you make the trailer for the Titans come through?
Yes.
How do you make multiplayer? How do you reinvent Kratos? Where does he go? Like, so it's always an exciting story.
Why did you want to come back to the studio? What made you decide this is where I need to be?
The short and probably semi-uncomfortable answer for this interview is I came back for you. Definitely that bar of excellence has been in my head for a long time.
He's like, whoa.
Your creative
what?
voice has weighed down on some projects of mine. And I don't know, I just missed the team's commitment, just the people here. I came back for the people.
Came back for the people.
I came back.
I like
for
that.
the
That's
people.
better than coming back for me because the voices in my head are not ones to follow.
That's your voice in my head, not your voices in my head. That's different.
True. If you had my voices in your, that's not even. That's a whole nother series of videos, I imagine. So, when you found out coming here that you were going to work on a Faye game, what was your thoughts?
I was excited. I was a little shocked, surprised, I think, that we were going to do something different. I think when I was coming back and talking to folks, I had just
all out of
assumed it
left
would
field.
be
I was not
another
expecting
Kratos game, and
another-
that's who I would be
another
telling
God of War
stories
game.
about for the rest of my life.
I
And
was
I was
not
okay with
expecting
that. But I think finding out about Faye and just seeing somebody whose journey that we could really explore and turn new pages on was exciting.
There's a lot of games. There's a lot of games coming out this year that are
exciting.
gonna be like
So it was,
like heavy hitters.
Just saying yes
Like,
to that
really
opportunity,
good.
I think was really cool.
I think this year was like better than last year's.
That's what it has gotten me
In
into
terms
a
of
lot
like
of
game
trouble over the
releases and
years.
stuff.
That's true.
Like last year was like kind of
President position included.
Now this year's like, no, we got some like really good games coming. We got some good games coming out that came out this year, and that are coming out this year.
No, you were very honest about the work that it entailed for doing this.
We got a lot of good games.
And it's exciting. Faye is, while it's a different thing, it's still part of the larger tapestry of what we're doing. We really want to explore all these different characters in there, but there's always.
I wonder what's gonna happen to Faye though.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we can't not tell stories about the big guy.
Let's go into directing. What are you most excited about in stepping into the role as a game director?
There's like a fine line between excitement and being terrified. I think I'm on the edge of excitement most of the time, but I think being able to be curious about everything on the game. Previously, I had done a lot of work on story and cinematics and in different pipelines for the game, but this really got me able to be nosy and ask questions and really get people to look at things differently from a lot of different perspectives. And to just, have an opportunity to kind of like find myself in Faye's story was exciting. But yeah, then I think just, captaining this ship with all of these humans making this game together is a lot, but it's very exciting.
I want to go back to something you said, finding yourself. Talk about what part of you you're putting into the game.
I mean, I think, we've always come at stories from Santa Monica with, characters at their heart, right? And finding ourselves, even in Kratos, everybody's had a point in their time when they've made some decisions that maybe they wish they hadn't and really thought things through again. But I think for Faye, that was that question of, who is she? Who was this person that everybody idolized and, just stood in awe of, and to really think about all the facets that make up that person, right? She's, a loving wife and mother, but she's also a warrior. She's a guardian of her people. She's a rebellion leader. She's all of these things. And to be able to have an opportunity to just explore that person with the detail and the love that Santa Monica brings is just, very touching, very exciting.
What's the hardest part for you stepping into the role as a director? Is there any sort of individual parts where it's like that you feel great about overcoming? I think that's probably the more specific question. Is there's hard parts, but we always sort of push through and we get to that other side. What's any hard parts that you can think of that
I mean, I think the hard parts are, there are definitely some places where I feel, comfortable, like story is a comforting place for me. But there are some places that are new in a way that having to be familiar with that depth, there's engineering things and design issues and all sorts of things, and everybody has a question and they all need their answers immediately, and trying to kind of keep the
That is so
potluck
true.
that we have going and becoming still digestible at the end of the meal, like that's been very difficult sometimes, of just trying to get everything they need to be as creative as possible, and then keep a handle on making sure that it still tells a singular story of Faye. I think that's been it's been a learning and growing experience as time has gone on. And there's always voices from the top and there's always voices from the bottom. Everybody has an opinion, which is one of the things I love about Santa Monica. And it's trying to figure out how to temper those to make sure that we're being truthful to who Faye is and what her journey is on that.
So you kind of dove into aspects of design and
Yeah,
engineering and got more educated on that.
Yeah, I think that's the fun part. I mean, that's the wonderful part about making games, is that it's not just one person, it's hundreds of people now to make it together. And, that's, there are places and things that every day is different. Every day is, 80 different meetings about different topics, and, play testers and build times and, design questions and art questions and narrative questions and, working with actors, and it's exciting. So I don't know, it keeps me busy. Never a dull moment.
Exciting, overwhelming, but fantastic. And you are doing an amazing job at it.
Appreciate
falling into the crazy fray quite well. So, for the folks at home who haven't seen the announce that we've done, why don't you do a little recap? Tell us what that's all about.
Well, the game reveal that we just showed, hopefully everybody's gotten a chance to see it. If not, maybe they'll take a chance right now. But we start with Faye's dead. We wanted to start exactly. We wanted to start exactly where the players were, which is, in God of War 2018. Her
2018,
death
that's a
was the impetus
2019.
for Kratos and Atreus' journey together and their growth together and going on to Ragnarok. We debated whether or not to tell a story before that. And what we really wanted to do was just pick up exactly where the player was, which is Faye's dead, and she finds herself in the afterlife of the gods. And there she discovers some things that make her question whether or not Kratos and Atreus are safe. And she's determined to find a way back to help them.
What do you want the audience to feel?
I'd like the audience to watch the game reveal and be like, this is amazing, I can't wait to play this. I can't wait to be in Faye's boots kicking ass. That's what I want the players to feel. I want them to be curious about the world and the opportunity that it has in magic and the gods that we're gonna meet with all these mythologies coming together in the afterlife. I want them to be excited and swept away by the world and Faye's story and where she's gonna
Internet coming back. Thank you. Oh my god, I'm back. I'm back. My internet went out. We're back.
kind of unprepared for and kicks ass anyway. And I think that, she's a little bit more improvisational than maybe Kratos might be, and she's not afraid to kind of be honest and show her kind of true self and emotions on things. And I think, for Kratos, we love him dearly, but I think sometimes he's a little closed off, and he's learning to open up a little bit more. So I think with Faye,
He's working on it. He's a work in
he's working
progress.
on it. But I think with Faye, we got to be let in a little bit more.
Where is this all taking place? Like we're talking about that Faye, she died, right? She died at the end of beginning of 2018, and now we're kind of moving into this game and going on the journey. Where is this?
So Faye finds herself in the afterlife of the gods. So this is the birthplace and the ending point to which all magic returns. All magic. And so the amazing thing about that is twofold, right? We get all sorts of magic, a highly heightened magical world to play in. But we also get the return and the discovery of a lot of different mythologies coming together, and what happens when those mythologies kind of meet up, and being able to kind of encompass and throw our arms around different mythologies has been very exciting. Just getting to know different people and different people's stories.
So the afterlife of the gods is kind of this transcendent place above kind of the mortal world and the afterlife of humans, and then the sort of underworld of humans. It exists sort of above all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think in Ragnarok, Odin really was kind of taken by that question. What happens to us when we die? We know what happens to the mortals when they die, but what happens to us? And so this is an answer for that question. What happens to gods when they die? And, things aren't working quite exactly the way that they should be in this afterlife of the gods. And magic isn't flowing exactly the way that it should be. So this afterlife's not exactly a paradise. It's a little bit more of a prison.
It's gone a little bit cattywampus.
A little bit. And the folks who are in charge there, who you'll meet in the reveal video, Sekhmet and Baxi, they've taken over things. And as two respective gods of war, they have a certain way of doing things. It's a little bit more violent. So this place is...
they're both gods of war. I knew it.
It's beautiful. It's magical, but it's very dangerous.
From a gameplay perspective, how is this a God of War game? What makes it sort of fit in the pantheon of God of War gameplay?
Well, we don't shy away from violence, that's for sure. So definitely true to our kind of brutal roots. But I think more than that, we're focused on Faye and telling her story and just really exploring the world through her eyes, that journey of her character and how she comes across this world. So I think that at the heart of it really just makes us a God of War game and a Santa Monica game. But, Faye affords us a few more opportunities than maybe Kratos might. Faye is a little bit more agile in the world than Kratos is. And she has a healthier relationship, I think, than with magic. She doesn't quite the past that Kratos has.
She's more of the embracer of magic, whereas Kratos is the skeptical user of magic.
Yeah. So definitely being in a world so filled with magic, we can really lean into that with Faye. And, we want to stay true to the hallmarks of a God of War game, just that close, combat, that agility, the exploration of our world, story at our heart. These are all things.
Pick up and play.
Absolutely.
That sort of brutal, kind of intimate gameplay that we've been sort of refined through each of the iterations, taking it one step further and taking it one step further. What are some things that are kind of added to make it unique?
Well, I think one of the first things that excited the team was that we brought jump back into the game. Kratos hasn't jumped for a little while, so I think
that's how I was excited for. I'm like, oh, we could double jump
games,
again.
The Greek era, Norse era, and really, we got to kind of pick up each element and think about, does this help us tell Lao Fei's story? She is always thinking on her feet and, throwing herself into kind of the next battle and really trying to work her way through the world. And so leaning into that, we were able to borrow some of those elements from the Greek era, the movement, the fluidity in there, but then also couple that with the Norse era, the way that we approach the world, our close ties with character, Faye's relationship with her companions, all of these things kind of led us to this new version that is uniquely Fae.
God of War Lao Fei. Lao Fei is played by the amazing and absolutely wonderful Deborah Ann Wall.
Stunningly talented.
Stunningly talented. She worded it so much better than I did. Talk to me about working with her.
She's amazing, hands down. She just comes to the set with so much energy, and it's amazing to just be in this imagination world with her. And she is Faye, and Faye is her. She's also like amazing in the VO booth. Just one of like the best actors I've worked with in the booth, and just brings everything to it. Yeah, leaves no stone unturned.
Consummate professional.
Consummate professional. She's just a lot of fun to be with too.
Yeah, she is a joy. And what about the illustrious Jack Quaid?
Everybody in Lao Fei.
Yeah, I
Jack
knew
was
it.
very excited.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I was like, that gotta be Jack Quaid.
And Perlina,
I knew
our
it.
Rue character, is
Perlina is delightful.
also amazing. And
Who's your favorite?
I can't pick
We're
favorites.
putting you got to pick a favorite. I'm
I
sorry.
can't pick favorites
Look,
on
there's
camera.
3
They'll come
cameras
for
here.
me.
You have to pick a
I
favorite.
still have to finish this game. I can't pick favorites.
Yeah. We won't show it until after
I've heard
you
that one
finish the game,
before.
but you got to pick a favorite. If you had to pick a favorite, gun to your
Corey,
head.
you're my favorite.
That's the correct answer. Thank you. You've been watching Dev Talk, and I am her favorite.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know who I would pick.
I don't know.
And I've only met like each one of them on a Zoom call. I know, like, I was able to participate in the
They're all a lot of
mocap
fun.
thing via Skype.
And they work so well together, like just good energy.
He really is a delight.
They all are.
Yeah.
Really, you did us a solid however many years ago getting Deborah as Faye.
But she is wonderful. I am a huge, huge, huge fan of all of the work that she does. And the work that she's done in this is second to none. Just truly amazing.
But you've been asking a lot of questions, Corey. Why did you want to make a Faye game? Because when I came back to the studio, the Faye game was already in process.
Yeah.
So what about Faye did you want to do? Like, what about Faye was interesting for you in terms of telling her story?
I think Faye is one of she's in my top 3 favorite characters, right, of the entire franchise. And she is just such an interesting character with how much she was an orchestrator of Kratos and Atreus' journey. For me, a warrior who has sort of touched such interesting parts of the past history of God of War, moving to a Faye game and kind of seeing it move forward, rather than say like, hey, let's do a Faye game, which we did explore. At the beginning, we were like, let's do the time before, so we can really see all these cool moments, like when she was making the axe with Brock and Sindri and all the drama that happened with that. But ultimately, the most interesting part was really to tackle like, hey, what happened when she died? And what continued on, and start to create this new layer that exists above. And throughout Ragnarok, Odin was talking about, what you had mentioned before. What happens to us when we die?
Yeah.
The other gods,
Wesley was like,
I think
saying
secretly
that.
think that a little bit, but his OCD like really took over, and he was hyper fixated and focused, and rightfully so,
Yeah.
because there is this sort of transcendent place beyond for the gods that is very interesting for us to start exploring and seeing how all these mythologies mash together. And then that sort of guide being Faye, and seeing that difference of like, look, Faye was a warrior of equal sort of excellence, but also damage, right? When her and Kratos met, they were both pretty messed up.
Yeah,
right?
she did not have a good exit from her people. Things
No.
went south.
Yeah.
It's so funny that you say that she's a planner, because I feel like we have taken somebody who has spent their whole life trying to orchestrate things into a perfect space, and then we've put them in some place where they have to think on their feet all the time.
Yeah.
And I think that is
Starting to sound a little bit like you.
maybe
A
just
planner who is put into a place where she has to now improvise
All
quite
the
a lot.
time.
There's a lot of you inside of this game.
Yes.
And for me, it's really exciting because the franchise, Kratos is sort of the
trunk of our tree.
and he sort of drives the franchise forward, and we want to follow him. But there are so many interesting characters that we created along the way, and for me, Faye and Sindri are to me the two most interesting characters. Like, and I love all the other characters. So all the other characters are amazing, and it's not that I don't love them. It's just that they have very interesting, examined lives that I really want to go deeper into.
I think also like we're starting to build a world where we can tell stories about different people and tell different kinds of stories.
Yeah.
You know, Kratos gives us his story, and it's been changing and evolving, and that's fantastic. And you know, I can't wait to see where it goes.
Yeah.
But it also is nice to be able to tell different stories along the way.
Yep. And to see where do these stories go, and introducing this sort of extra layer, the afterlife of the gods, that actually connects to all of these other things. This was a wonderful conversation.
Thank
you for taking the time. So I want to encourage everybody out there to go take a look at the God of War Lao Fei announce that was just released. If you haven't seen it already, if you've seen it, watch it again.
Yeah, I did see it.
Because
That's
it's
what
even
I
more
was hyped for.
interesting.
I was hyped for all that.
We're going to continue this conversation together, as well as with all of you out there in the coming months. As we get then closer to our release date, we'll even give you more information then. Until then, we are going to get back to work because there is a lot of stuff to do. So thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Ariel Lawrence, for saying yes to direct this.
Yeah, like I knew those two were like gods of war. So this is a place. So basically, this is a place where all the gods die. Like from across every mythology: Greek, Egyptian, Norse, Asian, everything. From every mythology, they go there, which is called the Everyone. And then yeah, it says here, introducing Faye. Faye has been one of the most impactful characters in the God of War's Norse saga. A legendary warrior and leader, her impact was left the Nine Realms long before she ever met Kratos. Begins to brings Faye to the forefront, exploring humanity's strengths and flaws of the person whose legacy was beloved in the minds of many. To set the stage of Faye's introduction, so yeah, this is like where it showed off Kratos and Atreus. I was like, wait, hold on, is it a remake? I mean, a remaster? It can't be a remaster of the 2018 game. Because then it was just like it started like pulling up the camera to the sky, and then there's that weird dust. And I'm like, okay, no, this can't be a remaster of the 2018 game. There's got to be something new. But yeah, that's cool. But yeah, my bad. I was like texting somebody. Let's see to set the stage of Faye's introduction. God of War Laufey's near. Yeah, blah blah blah. I think that's whatever. See, afterlife of the gods. Odin was haunted by the prophecy of his demise during the events of God of War Ragnarok, which yeah was like the aspect of the game was like yeah he was just so scared of what happens to gods right after they die. What would happen to a god if they died, or where do they go? And surprisingly they go here. So acknowledges something beyond the afterlives of mortals. In the God of War Laufey, we explore the answer to that question: what happens to the gods when they die? The Everyone is a birthplace and endpoint in which all magic returns, a transcendent realm above those we've come to know, a location in which gods and creatures from different mythologies come together and not always in harmonious coexistence. We shot a brief look at the two gods of Fae we'll encounter in the Everyone, which is Sekhmet and Begsti, which are distinctly less friendly, less and friendly towards a new face suddenly appearing in their midst. So, Sekhmet is a Egyptian goddess. She's the Egyptian goddess of war, and then Begsti is the I think it was like a Mongolian god of war, which is also cool. Faye quickly discovers that despite the impossibility of awakening from the death in a place that defies everything she thought she knew, it may prove harder to leave while the natural flow of magic has been disrupted. Paradise or prison, Faye will need to uncover hidden mysteries about the true nature of the Everyone throughout her journey. She'll have any hope of finding her way home. Venturing party reprised her role as Faye After appearing in the God of War Ragnarok, thrilled to have the fantastic Deborah and Wool lead the cast of the God of War Faye. Oh, Laufey, Faye will not be venturing into the Everyone alone. She meets two companions shortly after she first wakes up, which is Panocrath or Frank, played by Jack Quaid, is a curious cosmic cube with earnest deception. He will do whatever it takes to protect his friends and the creatures of the Everyone. Which, yeah, I expect that was gonna be Jack Quaid because I was like, yo, that voice sounds familiar. I'm like, oh wait, no, that's Huey. That's Huey from the Boys. That's Huey from the Boys. Which is like that voice is always gonna be familiar no matter where. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool. What else? And then Rue, played by Perlinian Liu, which I'm guessing is the ribbon. Yeah, is an enchanted ribbon guardian tasked with keeping the devastating powerful sword in her care from falling into the wrong hands. Together, they will embark on a journey deep into the Everyone that will pit them against a fantastic cast of gods and creatures from across mythology, as well as being native to the Everyone itself. So it seems like there's going to be more than just like those two gods of war. It looks like there's going to be more gods in this setting. This is going to be the game I'm going to be talking about the most instead of the Wolverine game and everything else, because I'm excited for this game the most. Out of every game that was shown in that state of play, it's just this game I'm like very, very much excited because I am a big fan of the God of War series. And I mean, I did stream both God of War games, God of War 2018 and Ragnarok. So I am like a huge fan, so I'm just definitely going to be talking about this game a lot. Um, Looks like lethal agility. As the golden hand of Jotnar, Faye has deep roots as a warrior and has proven equal to even the likes of Thor, one of the strongest gods in the Nine Realms. From the beginning, we've built her combat to maximize lethality, power, and fluidity. Building upon the strengths of the modern God of War combat system while injecting some old school classic DNA of the Greek era, Laufey will feel fresh yet familiar to fans of the series. By allowing Faye to move easily between the ground and air without halting the action, we refine a hyper responsive to her combat that we can't wait for players to experience when they get their hands on the controller for the first time. Her increased mobility adds a tons of offensive and defensive tools to turn battles against even the fiercest gods of her favor. We've given you a taste of what Faye's gameplay will look like at the start, and that's just scratching the surface. There's so much more we can't wait to share further down the road, and plenty will leave for fans to discover on their own. And then, yeah, legendary sword for a legendary warrior. As a previous owner of the Leviathan axe, Faye is no stranger to legendary weapons. Upon her arrival in the Everyone, she earns the trust of the sword's guardian Rue enough to use the blade in their fight to escape imprisonment. Wielded and Faye's expert and is if its full potential is unleashed. Speed, control, relentless define tempo of phase combat, building and maintaining momentum from the one attack to the next across the ground into the sky. She creates a relentless onslaught against her foes. That sword looks like it could be from. It looks like it could be from like Asian descent because there is like a pummel and it looks like a dragon at the end. Maybe, I don't know. Go to hands of the Jotnar. The giants of the Jotunheim had access to the powerful magnets so much that even Odin viewed them as one of the greatest threats in his rule over the Nine Realms. As a golden hand on Jotnar, yeah, it looks like she's like, that's really cool. That's what I was like, that's what I noticed first, was that whole Doctor Strange moment right there, where she like pulls the soul out of that dude, or astral projection, that's what it looks like, and then stops his body right there, and you can just attack his astral projection. It's pretty cool. As a golden hand of the Jotnar and the most powerful protector of the giants, Faye wield the most fearsome powers, including the ability to manipulate souls. After arriving in the afterlife of the gods, a place steeped into the oldest of magic, Faye's own soul-related abilities are greatly amplified. In the Everyone, Faye can strike her golden palm at a foe with such force it detaches their soul from their body. From there, Faye can attack the soul directly, knocking it into other enemies and more, opening up combos and creative uses that we hope players will have a lot of fun mastering. Ooh, this game is sounding more and more better at the the more I read. But yeah, that's gonna be really cool for like stuns or opening up or like starter combos or in the middle of the combo. You can use that like towards the middle to end of the combo. because it looks like it disrupts like other enemies too, which is really cool. Back for more. We get a close. As we get closer to release, we'll be back to share more details. Blah blah blah, and then wish list today. So that's cool. So it looks like, yeah. So I was kind of wrong of being having it be Valhalla. I was kind of wrong a little bit, but it looks like it's just a realm, a new realm, because this is not in Norse mythology at all. This is a completely new, original realm where this is where the gods go when they die. This is where they go, and they see everyone. And this brings a bunch of other mythologies together. So it's not just Norse mythology gods; it's a bunch of other mythology gods together in one place. So I'm guessing this is like, because they did say that hell is the realm where humans go to die, or where they're sent to after they die. That's their afterlife, and this realm is the same thing as hell. This is where gods go when they die. And that was the big question too in Ragnarok, where Odin was like, "Oh, I wonder where we're gonna go. Where do we go when we die? Where do we go when gods die?" And this is the place. This is the exact place. But yeah, this is gonna be the big bads, probably most likely in the big game. I mean, I'm pretty sure he's gonna be like the first boss because it did show he was like the first boss of the game, which is Big Tees, who is a Mongolian god of war. And then we got Sekhmet, who is the Egyptian god of war, or Egyptian goddess of war, not god of war, goddess of war, which is pretty cool. So yeah, we get to see other gods, and I'm hoping we're gonna see more gods than just those two, because this is the afterlife we're talking about for gods. So there's gonna be more of them, obviously. Hopefully we get to see Odin, not Odin. We get to see Zeus and Hermes and all those other Greek gods that were killed in the original trilogy. I want to see if they get sent here, or if they were sent here. Or maybe there's another realm that's like right above this realm too, because they did say like this realm is like sitting up top on top of like Midgard, and it is like right above like Valhalla also. So yeah, it's crazy. That's really cool though. I can't wait for this game. I'm like more excited for that game though. I'm really good excited. But yeah, I did like search where like, because those names like really sounded familiar. I know Sekhmet because Moon Knight. Whole Moon Knight. Watching Moon Knight, which does say goddess of war, the sun, the plague, and healing, and then Big Tees, which is that big dude, which is he's the god of war. He's the god of war, the protector of the Dharma in Tibetan Buddhism, and the Lord of War. And he has a terrifying red face and orange flaming hair, which shows right there. Shows right there. He has orange flaming hair and he has a hideous face. But yeah, can't wait for this game. 2027. But yeah, all right. That's gonna be it. That's gonna be it for the stream. Cause we covered everything. We watched the Game Awards, or not the Game Awards, the State of Play, which was honestly 10 out of 10 in my book. It was a lot better than, what was it, the one before? Because there was bangers. There was mad bangers in this one. Mad bangers. Especially some left fields too, which was really cool. But yeah, I'm gonna have to like edit this shit a lot. I mean, I probably don't. I'm pretty sure I don't have to, cause like, I mean, it's only like it's a 2 hour. It's like a 2 hour, almost 3 hour stream, so I don't have to like edit that much, which is like yay. But I do have to edit it for TikTok, which is like a pain in the ass. But anyways, I'm gonna go now. Peace out, y'all. I'll see y'all probably on Thursday. There probably won't be a stream on Sunday because I'm gonna be going to PA for vacation. So yeah. Anyways, I'm out. Peace.